okay? But I'm just using a concealer because that's what I have. Putting closer to me. Okay, so the point of this,
Olivia, you should keep it on all day.
the point of this is to have a base for your eyeshadow, especially with dance. You're gonna be sweating, you're gonna be all over the place, and you want this stuff to stay as much as you can. Okay. And I just use, for concealer, if you do want to buy it, which you don't have to, I would suggest 1 to 2 shades lighter than your natural like foundation shade, because you want it to be a little bit lighter, especially because I'll show you later, but I'll be using it later as well. Okay, so for brushes, I have a bunch, but I'm only going to try and use the least amount of brushes as possible. I'm just usually using like 20. So I would definitely suggest, if you can, for eyeshadow, get a big fluffy brush and like a normal eyeshadow brush. You don't have to though, you could just get a normal brush, wipe it off in between, whatever. Okay, not a big deal. So for palettes, I wrote on there a few different of the cheaper ones that I like, but I'm gonna go with a lighter shade. This is just to set what I just put on her eyes, okay? So this is like a light pink. It's pretty much not really there to show up much. It's just to mattify the cream that I just put on her eyes. Okay. Then this has the little graph on the back too if you want to like know the little step-by-step stuff. This is just, I'm just going off. Okay. So the first step on there, it says to use a light brown eyeshadow. This is what I mean by light brown. I don't know if you can see this. It's just like, it's not super light, but it's not dark either. And this is going to go in her crease and then on the outer corners of the eyes. I'm starting on the outer corner, kind of like a V, and then I'm gonna swoop it across her lid. This is like a light brown, and you build it. So that's why I'm adding more. And like as a reminder, this is a sharp. It's gonna go a little bit out more than you'd see natural makeup. But you can still apply this to like your everyday makeup, or if we do like closer up performances where you don't want to go super full out glam, you still apply these same techniques. It's just not as bam in your face kind of stuff. Okay, so if you can see. Go ahead and close her. Sorry. It's like halfway across her eyelid, and then does this little V, and then it goes all the way across. And I just do like this little windshield wiper movement across the crease of her eyelid. Okay. It's so hard to do this from this angle. I'm just gonna do it on this other side too. You guys can ask questions if you need to. Don't feel like you have to just sit there in silence. Okay. Yeah, not too bad. Okay. Then the next one is to go in with a darker brown. I need new eyeshadows. This dark one is kind of what I'm using. You guys don't have to buy like a specific palette. If you have different ranges of browns in any palette you have at home or your mom's makeup or whatever, that works. Or like I said, I have a cheap palette on there. I think it's like maybe 12 bucks. And it has every shade you need. So, and this one, I'm just gonna go kind of on top of what I just did, just to darken it. But instead of going too much all the way across, I'm gonna focus more on this outer corner. So that's just gonna darken it. And this is with a bigger, fluffier brush. If you have a harder time with eyeshadow, I would try a smaller brush. A little one or even smaller than that if you want. I'm gonna do a little bit smaller one so you guys can see. The smaller my one. Okay, so then this is a black. My next one, just gonna go right in. You can, if you want, do like building and do all the different shades of brown. I don't think it's necessary because it all blends together anyway. So I'm gonna right in with black. Definitely tap off this powder. If you can see this falling out, that's when you're gonna get powder all over your face, and it's gonna be a mess if you don't tap off your powder. So if you see people doing that and you wonder why, that's why, because it gets everywhere. And it's better to build on top of like little amounts of product than to just go in all heavy to try and get it done. You can, it just takes a lot. I don't know, it's harder to do it that way. Okay, so then for this black, I'm focusing on the darkest part of her eyelid. Is gonna be on this outer V. I'm still gonna go across a little bit, but not a lot. I'm even gonna bring it down a little bit over the like eyelash line. Kind of darken it up a little bit. Just keep building this. So hard from this angle. Oh, and when you do it on yourselves, obviously your eyes aren't completely closed, okay? So when you do it on yourselves, don't try the like one eye squinty trying to see. My advice is to keep them open. I know that sounds weird, but if you tilt your head like this and you have your palette up like this, you can see the top of your lids without having it closed. So that's a trick, okay? But don't like do weird squinty stuff where you have like lines in your eyelid. If it helps, you can lift like a brow. That'll help like lengthen your eyelids so you have more of a canvas, if that helps. Okay, so yeah, if you raise it up here and do all your stuff like this, it's a lot easier than like trying to close your eyes and do all the funky stuff. Normally I'd be really picky and be super precise on this, but I'm just teaching the minimum here. Okay, and as like the further along I go, black lightens super quickly. So even if it looks dark at first, it tends to go to a lighter shade. So if you need to like reapply after and like do a little touch up to make it look black, then do it.
Yes, Terry.
Sorry, I wasn't at a good angle over there.
Okay, and then I'm gonna go in with my previous brush. Like I said, if you don't do this, you just wipe it off and go back. If you don't have multiple brushes, I mean. I'm gonna go in with my lighter brown shade. I'm just gonna go over top of this brown, just to kind of blend it a little bit so it doesn't look like straight black, like we just covered all of that nice brown shading we had done before. But not too much, because then it's gonna lighten it too much than what we want. Okay, yeah, kind of get that a little bit. So, then we're gonna use the shimmer shade. The cool thing about this is you don't need a specific color. This little palette is all my fancy shimmers, but you can use, I would suggest a gold, or like some type of pink shade, or like silver, or even some type of whitish glimmer. But don't get like loose glitter and like do like glue on stuff. It's just messy and not necessary. So, the best way to get pigmented glitter on your eyelid is to use your fingers. In fact, this is even called like a finger paint palette because it's meant to use your fingers. I'm gonna go with gold. Okay. So I have like this bronzy gold. You can use whatever. Most palettes come with at least one shimmer shade, and I'm gonna go in the center and move towards the inner corner of the eye, and then I'm gonna get a brush, use my fluffy one. I'm not gonna have to blend it too much because it's pigmented and we wanna keep it that way. You could honestly just use one shimmer shade for this part, but just to show you like a variation of what you could do, I'm gonna go in with a slightly lighter gold and go over top and then closer. Look how bright that is. I love this palette. Okay. Okay, can't really tell, but.
Olivia, you look great. Thanks.
Okay, then we will kind of have to backtrack a little bit and go over with this black. You don't have to, I'm just a perfectionist. Just to get that blend to be better. Okay, then if you want to do like the least amount of product, you can still use your black eyeshadow. And if you guys have like an eyebrow angled brush, or even there's like this flat edge, I think this brush is like $3 at Ulta. I can write down the specific one if you want to use this one. Honestly, this one's a little bit harder because it's not as thin. So I like to use an angled brush. I think there's one by e.l.f. that's like $1. But there's 1,000 different brands you can use. I've got makeup all over me. Okay, so to use the least amount of product, I'm gonna use a black eyeshadow. And we're gonna go across like you would an eyeliner on the top of her lash line. You can, if you're really good at liquid eyeliner, feel free to do it. But just remember, once you put it on, there's no going back because that stuff stays. So if you mess up, you gotta like take everything off. So the best thing to do is eyeshadow because you can kind of wipe it if you mess up. Okay, kind of see the difference a little bit. It's not much, but it'll help. It'll help when the lashes lay on it to look a lot more put together and not just thrown together. Okay, so lashes, my favorite kind, in fact, these are the only ones I keep in my kit, even for my clients, are Kiss lashes. These are cheap. You can get them at Walmart, you can get them at Target, all the places. I like to get them at Ulta because they have sales, like they have a 2 for whatever. I buy the big packs. I would suggest getting a big pack because of dance. If you just buy one and you get glue all over your eyelash or something, they fall off. It's good to have these extra packs. So my favorite styles, I have them written in there, is Kiss number 11s. Oh, this has eyelash glue on. Jubilee, and Little Black Dress, which is this one. I'm gonna do 11s because these are nice and simple. Okay, eyelash glue. You guys have probably seen this before, maybe. Duo glue. It's like $3 or $4. Walmart, Target, Ulta. This is the black, which I would suggest because your eyelashes are black and it's gonna look better. If you get the white glue, it's fine. It does kind of dry clear, but you can definitely see if you get it all over your lashes and you kind of have to.
Can I interject?
Yes.
Every year I get somebody that gets the clear, it's not eyelash glue, it's the, well, it's eyelash glue, but it's like extension glue. Don't get that. First of all, it burns and you can't do it to yourself.
No, definitely don't do that.
So make sure it's, that duo is really good, or there's another
There's
brand.
a Kiss brand, which is the same. It's a black one. It's like a green and white and black bottle. It has
They have them
black glue.
at, they have Sally's brand, they have them
Yes,
at there.
that's a good one too.
So, I don't remember what it's called.
Okay, I'm gonna show you all my tips and tricks because I think the scariest thing for people with dance makeup is the lashes for some reason. So here's my tips. Always cut off the very, very ends of your lashes so they don't poke you in the eye. Okay, I literally just barely cut off. There's like, I don't know if you can see on your lashes, I can even pass these around, but they have the little plastic ends. I don't know if you've seen them on your lashes. They're super annoying. So I just cut them off. If it takes out part of the eyelash, that's okay. If you have smaller eyelids, trim them. And when I say trim, definitely trim from the inner corner, not the outer, because all the volume is going to be on that outer corner. So you want to trim on the inner corner, okay? So if you have little eyelids, I'm not too worried about her. With dance, I do kind of like them longer than the eye anyway, because they've got to show up. Okay, so for glue, you can use like a bobby pin to apply it. You can use a Q-tip, whatever. I've done this long enough that I just do it straight from the tube. You can, but it does squeeze everywhere if you're not careful. So, like that.
There's also like the brush on ones. Like the glues you can just brush on.
Yes, they do have those too. I personally don't like those as much because I have really sensitive eyes. So if you have sensitive eyes, this glue's probably your best friend, unless you go buying a super fancy one. But this is like the only glue I don't have bad reactions to. So keep that in mind if you're one of my sensitive eye people. This is a good glue. Okay, and I might step closer so you can see this. I'm not putting much on. It's like just the minimum. You don't want like a thick amount of goop on there.
There, show the camera.
Okay? And then this is the biggest thing people do wrong when they do lashes. They immediately apply it. Don't do that. You want to wait at least a minute because it's going to get tacky, and then when it applies, it's not going to slide all over the place. It's just going to stick right where you put it. So we're going to wait a second, let this little puppy dry. You could blow on it, but because she's a client, I'm not going to blow on it because that's nasty. Okay, and tweezers. Use tweezers. So much easier. Yes, you can use your fingers, but I'm pretty sure most of us have a pair of tweezers somewhere at home you could use. Doesn't have to be fancy. These are literally like falling apart. Okay? This is still gonna dry a little bit. But I'm going to put these tweezers in the center of the eyelash, and I'm gonna bring it all the way up to the base of that lash line. It's gonna give me some more, like it's gonna be easier to handle, if that makes sense. Gives me some more stability. We'll let it dry a little bit more. Okay, and hopefully you guys know that the shortest end goes to the corner of your eye. Yeah, it does have it on here, just right side, left side, yeah. But sometimes it gets confusing when you look in the mirror and you're like, wait.
And a lot of
So just remember that.
usually have them like kind of in reverse too. These are things to remember. Like when you first.
Yeah, that's true. The ones that they stack. I know Mac does that. Okay, go ahead and close for me. I know this is a lot easier for me to do it on somebody else. So a trick is the same thing that I taught with the eyeshadow. If you go above, you can set it, oh my gosh, not above. This one is below, because when you're looking down, you can see right where it is, but then you kind of want to do like this, like, you start down here so you can see,